Okay, today we're going to start on Vav Amadeus. It's in the middle of the page. Hayed Rabbi Shua ben Zeres. Yeah. Thank Hashem that you're able to learn Torah every day. With our learning, we should have the Beis Hamikdash immediately. Oh, he's not on, right? Hill's not on, and he's not here in show. It's just uncommon. It's usually here. Okay. Sorry, it restarted for a second. Okay, here we go. Hayed Rabbi Shua ben Zeres ben Chamav Shel Rameh Lefnei Rebbe. Rabbi Shua ben Zeres, he is a would be his brother-in-law if he's the son of his father-in-law. I think the pshat is that Zeres is the son of Chadian. Zeres is Bruria's brother. That must be the pshat. And then so this is his wife's nephew. His nephew, not his nephew. It's his this is his wife's nephew, not his brother-in-law. So this Rabbi Shua ben Zeres testifies in front of Lefnei Rebbe, in front of Rebbe. You should have taken Meiser. You should have at least Demai. Maybe Meiser was taken, but you should have been more careful. If he gets it from an Amaretz, you don't know if Meiser was taken, he's supposed to take. So, based on that testimony of Rabbi Shua ben Zeres, that Meir ate a leaf of a vegetable, Beishan, say it to Rebbe, Beishan Kula al Yadeh. Rebbe says, Beishan is not considered Eretz Yisrael. It's fine. Now, this whole discussion in here, in Rashi, that the only meiser, the only chiyuv meiser midiraisa, the biblical law, is on grain. This is a leaf of a vegetable, so it's only a derabanan. So even if it's not Eretz Yisrael, we would still keep meiser for things that are of biblical law. But here, because it's a derabanan, so here, because it's not Eretz Yisrael and it's not biblical, so then we're going to be more lenient. We're going to explain soon that what makes something Eretz Yisrael or not Eretz Yisrael has to do with Kedusha Shnia. When they came back by the second Beis Hamikdash, did they conquer that area? Did they settle that area? I'm sorry. Chivra Lav Echav Beis Aviv. The Rebbe's brothers. I don't know who his brothers are. His father's house. They gang up against Rebbe. They say, "Amalai Makim Shavisecha Vavesavisecha Naga Bayiser Atatinik Bayeter." Your father's house was. So he darshan the following pasuk. It says the kites nachasha nacheshes rasasam meisa kiad yom mahima yibnei Yisrael maktirim levikulei nachashtan. It says that Chizkiyahu is one of the things that the sages were happy about. There was, I think, 6 things the Gemara said. Gemara Pesachim. There's 6 things that the copper snake, that medical symbol that people would look at it to get healed. And what happened is people started to worship it. So Chizkiyahu destroys it. Gemara says, Efshir Asa. Asa was one of the kings, considered a tzaddik. Like Kol Avodah Zarah Shabba'ilam Asav Yishav Biram, and every other Avodah Zarah they did destroy. So, let me see. Let's see, Jeff. Let's see what's going on over here. So Efshir Ba'asav Vayishav, the Kol Avodah Zarah Shabba'ilam Asav Yishav Biram. Yeshaphat and Asa, they destroyed all the other Avodah Zarahs. And this one they left. And what are you doing, Chizkiah? And you're destroying this. Very interesting. He says that sometimes, even though no one else did anything in the earlier generations, but the reason for that was because they were leaving a little spot for you to become great. So the Chizkiah, he destroyed this Avodah Zarah. It didn't start as Avodah Zarah. It turned into an Avodah Zarah. He says, no one else did this before me. He says, yeah, they were leaving a spot for me to become great in. And so Rebbe says the same thing as with my parents. They didn't permit Beishan. They were leaving something for me to accomplish. They left a little area that I can make a chiddush. And this we can learn that a Talmud Chacham that says a halacha that you're surprised about. So we don't force him to retract. We don't. That's mazichan I say. Ein maznichan I say. We don't say that what he said is disgusting. And some say that the word was maschichan I say. There's three ways of reading this word: mazichan, maznichan, or maschichan. Each one means either to retract, disgust, or maschichan means gaiva. Now, manda mazichan, the one that says that the word over here that we learn from this that a Talmud Chacham that says a chiddush that you're surprised about, you don't force him to retract. Mazichan, the ksiv v'layizach ha'cheshen. Where do we get that word from? Get the word layizach. It should not move. The cheshen should not move from on the ephod. They would tie it tight to the apron. Mandamrei maznichan. What about the word ein maznichan? That says that we don't discuss them because kilayiznach li'olam Hashem. Hashem won't cast off. That's like to be. That's the term of disgusted, like to throw it away. Mandam maschichin, the one that says maschichin, which means gaiva, the tanan mishurabu zuchuche alev, rabu machlekes b'Yisrael. When the zuchuche alev, the arrogant people, those with the high elevated hearts, so in a negative way. So that's when the machlekes increased. They wouldn't accept other people, and they thought that their opinion was the best. Maskefla Yehuda Breder Reb Shimon ben Pazi. Who's the Maskefla? Yehuda Breder Reb Shimon ben Pazi is asking who? Rabbi Yeshua, maybe. I guess he's asking Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua, son of Ben Zeruz, says, you're telling me that Beishan is in Eretz Yisrael, but everyone holds it's Eretz Yisrael. That it was part of Eretz Yisrael, but the Menashe didn't conquer them. So the Gemara explains, it's
Tanakh.
Tanakh. That's an area, right? But the surrounding, it literally means daughters.
Yeah.
But daughters mean daughters mean sometimes in a place. It means the small cities that are around it. It says Hagelna B'nais Yehuda. I think it means the cities surrounding Yehuda. The little cities are called B'nai. So the villages. So basically they left it to be for taxes. They didn't resettle it, the Menashe. But the concept is that it's still Eretz Yisrael. So you're asking this question. That's because you forgot the following statement of Reb Shimon ben Eliakim that says in the name of Rabbi Elazar ben Pedas, this an Amira, Sha'amar Mishim Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel is a Tana. It says in the name of Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel, Harbe Krachim Kav Shoel Mitzrayim. There are many areas that the people that came up from Mitzrayim, means the first entry into Eretz Yisrael, they conquered it. Like Kavshim Ali Bavel. When they came back the second time, they didn't conquer it. Because Savar, and he holds Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel Shaita. They conquered it the first time. That was temporary. Like Kitchel Asalavai. Why did they leave that area? Those areas? Because there's two things over here. What happens? If there's an area that you don't conquer, and it's not considered Eretz Yisrael, then on Shemitah you could plow there, and you could eat from there, and also that area would be chayav in Meiser. You see, during the Shemitah year, you don't have to leave the regular produce for the aniyim, because everyone eats equally. But what's designated specifically for the aniyim is only in the other 6 years. So if there's an area where you don't have to keep Shemitah, then you have to leave the designated portions, the Meiser and the Peya and all of that, for the Aniyim. So they left an area, sort of like they had their Mechira, which has its own shilas, but over here they would leave an area that wasn't conquered, so that it would be not considered Eretz Yisrael, and then they would be able to live off this area. The Aniyim would be able to live off. Amli Reb Yirmiyah Reb Zera. Yirmiyah says to Reb Zera, how did Rebbe make such a big thing about this one leaf? But Reb Meir, Reb Meir just ate one leaf. And we know the rule that achilas arai, when you eat something temporary, you're not chayiv in meiser. It's only if you take it into the house and all the things. And maybe there was not chayiv in meiser, it was all temporary. Amalei me'aguda achle, no, he ate it from a bundle. That meant that, yeah, sure, it was one leaf, but it was chayiv and meiser already because it was part of a bundle. Utanan yerek hanegad mishiyagid. If there's a type of vegetable that's wrapped in a bundle, that's bound together like a bunch, so then it's chayiv and meiser once you bind it. Maybe you're making a whole psak over here because Reb Meir ate a leaf. Maybe Reb Meir forgot and he ate a leaf. Says hashta behemtin shel tzadikim in Hakadosh Baruch Hu maybe takal al yadan tzadikim atzma like kolshkein. If an animal of a tzaddik, the Eibishter won't allow for a mistake to happen, that it's going to eat something that Maisa wasn't taken, the tzaddik himself for sure would never make a mistake. Like we learned before from Taisvus, especially regarding food. Okay. Gemara says now, maybe Reb Meir took Meiser from another place. In other words, Reb Meir maybe had Meiser at home, had grain at home. And he says that my grain at home or my leaves at home should be Meiser on this leaf that I'm going to eat now. It says, we won't do that. The Chaverim, the Chaver, we won't have him, we won't assume that he's going to be eating something, not from the Mukaf means that it's something that's right next to it. The term makifin means to put something together to compare, comparison.
I have your side today. If we can just amend today's learning laws, Nishmas Chaya Golda Bastov Zevakon.
Chaya Golda Bastov Zevakon is the yahrzeit Hashem Shav Aliyah, Dr. Stein's mother. And tonight is the Siyam. 9 o'clock is the Siyam. 9 o'clock sharp.
Hopefully,
Yakish time.
Hopefully, we'll have it
on Zoom. Okay.
Hopefully.
Very nice. Okay. Biggest event in 7 years, in 8 years, 7.5 years.
Biggest event since my wedding.
Did Hillel mention anything? Why he's not here? I don't
No,
remember
I
him
didn't
saying
know
anything.
he wasn't here. I mean, except you mentioned it.
Okay. So, okay. So we asked, maybe the reason why Reb Meir didn't take Meiser and he ate it without taking Meiser was because he really did take Meiser. He separated it in his mind from somewhere else. So we said, no, a chaver would never do that. A Talmud Chacham or someone that's careful with these laws would never do that, because turns out that maybe the items that he thought that he separated were actually not there anymore because they're not in front of him. And he says that should be Meiser on this, and really someone had eaten those already, or those were destroyed. And so he separated Meiser that didn't exist. So we're not chaysher someone to do that. So it must be that the reason why he didn't take Meiser was because he held that Beishan was in Eretz Yisrael, and that's what Rabbi Paskin like. Maybe in front of him you didn't notice, but he had decided already that part of it is going to be Meiser, and the other part he ate. He put his eyes on one side and he ate from the other side. Amalei Chazim Man Gavar Rabba Kamasadallah. Yeah, that could have been a teretz. However, but since Rabbi Shua ben Zeirus is testifying about it, and Rabbi Shua ben Zeirus is a great person, so he never would have said he was a Gavar Rabba. He never would have said halacha based on something that it wasn't perfectly accurate. So he must have checked out Reb Meir, see that he didn't actually take Meiser. It must have been clear to him that Reb Meir didn't take Meiser. Okay. We go back to discuss the story. Let me switch this chair. It's clicking on me. Go back to discuss the story of. We keep saying the animal of a tzaddik. No, nothing. No mishap would happen to the animal of a tzaddik. What's the story? So my behemten shel tzaddikim. The Pinchas ben Yair because of the pidyon shvuyim. Pinchas ben Yair was going to do pidyon shvuyim. Pagabei beginai nara. He reaches the river Ginai. Where else did we have Ginai? We had it somewhere.
Moshe, remember?
Anyone remember where we had Ginai? We'll have to do a search. Maybe we know it from here.
I'm thinking.
7 years ago.
I don't remember. Where was that?
It could be Moshe the first time we learned it, maybe.
I don't remember.
So, Pagab baby Ginai Nari reaches Ginai. Amalei Ginai Chalaikli Memecha Vaverbach. He says, Ginai, talks to the river. He says, separate your waters from me. I want to pass by. Amalei Ata Elachlas. You're going to do the will of your maker, and I'm doing the will of my maker. So, what makes you better than me? Ata Safik Isa, Safigiata Isa. We have no idea if the person that's holding the captives is even going to accept the ransom money. Ani Vada Isa. But me, I have no questions. The Abishah told me to flow, and I'm flowing. So I'm doing a Vada, and you're doing a Safik. In Safik makes me Devada. You're not going to tell me to stop because you maybe are going to do the will of Hashem. Amalei. Yet the Chelik, because Rani Alachus Layavar Bachmaim Lail. He has a very he is a non-negotiator. I'm not getting into discussion. You just better stop. You better stop, or you're not going to exist anymore. There's no. You're just going to dry up. Chalakle. It divided. The water split. Havahu Gavra Davidari Chiti de Pischa was a person that was accompanying him that was carrying wheat for matzahs. Amalei Chalakle Nami Lahai the mitzvah split also for this person that the mitzvah is doing a mitzvah. Chalakle to split for him. Abu Tayyad Lavibadai, there was an Arab that was with him. They shouldn't say that that's what they do to their companies. They just drop them, they leave them. The people that accompany them, it's better to travel in a group. Don't say that they only help the people, that their own people, and the people that go along with them, they just dump them somewhere. So, where did I see? Chalakli. It's split for him as well. Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says, this is Rabbi Yosef Da'ameira. It's Kamanafish Gavra Mi Moshe. Beshitin Ribavan. Unbelievable. Pinchas ben Yair split the river 3 times. Moshe only split the river once. So that doesn't fit with that medrash that he made 12 channels in the river. Because then Rabbi Yosef would have said, what do you mean? Moshe made 12 pathways. That means 12 splits. So, right? So it doesn't fit with that. It doesn't fit with that medrash. And over here, he split it 3 times. It says, maybe over here was also 1 time. Now, what that means 1 time is that he tells the river, don't go back and close it over the guy behind me. It was really split once, but it retained its the division so that it doesn't flood this, doesn't go and drown the person that was walking behind him. So he just said, please hold out, don't let the water back. It really only split once. Where it says, Ella Kim Maisha, Beshitin Riverman, is like Maisha and the 600,000 that were with him. Split once. Ikla lahu ushbiza. He comes to an inn. Ramalei sari lachamri. Gives some barley to the donkey. Layachal, the donkey doesn't need it. Chavtinu. They banged it with a sifter, Rashi says. Can't be a real threshing because it wouldn't have been chayv and meiser anyway, as the Gemara is going to say. Well, layachal, it wasn't satisfied, even though they cleaned it out. It wasn't. It didn't want to eat. Nakrinu. They took out the pieces by hand. Sometimes there's pebbles in the grain. They took it out. Layachal. The animal still didn't eat. Amalahu. So he says to the innkeepers, he says, Dilmalay Masrin. Maybe he didn't take meiser yet. Asrinu. They took meiser v'achal, and then the animal ate. Amar, he said, does this poor animal is going to do the will of Hashem, and you're trying to feed it tvalim, tevel, unfixed grain? What's wrong with you? Right? Tells them, Umi mechayva, is a person chayiv to feed his animal grain that the meiser was taken? It's not like Shabbos where you have to have your animal rest. It's not the you could feed meiser. You could feed it to. It says Vatanan. We have a mishnah. Lekech lezera. If someone buys grain for planting, ula behema, or for animal food, bekemach loiros, or if you buy flour for tanning. In other words, if you buy the grain in Home Depot, then or in the animal farm store, so then you don't have to take meiser. It's only if you buy it in Publix. We have to, if it's for human consumption, we have to. But if you buy it for other types of things, so then v'shemen l'ner, or if you buy oil for candles, for burning, v'shemen lasach bayas hakelim, or oil to smear on utensils, maybe leather things or something. They would put oil on it. Yeah, they have to oil the leather. So it's patami adamai. You don't have to take the mai. Oh, so it doesn't say patamin amaisa. It says patamin adamai. It says the demai. If you think maisa was taken, they didn't make a gzeira on that. If it's possible that the maisa was taken, the gzeira of demai isn't on that. It says so.
The 2 korbanos that were
Aimer and Saita.
Yeah, right. Saying that if they got that barley, they didn't have to do something.
No, I'm saying that when you buy it for the animal, then you don't have to take meiser. Or if you buy it for planting, not for eating.
But if you buy for eating, even if you buy in Home Depot,
yeah, probably. But Tanya, and we also learned this in the Bryce. 1 second. Rabbi Yechanan says that it depends what you bought it for originally. If you bought it originally in Publix and then you decided to use it for an animal, you're still chayiv in meiser. It's only if you bought it for an animal and you feed it to the animal that you're going to be pater. Yeah.
what line?
Man Zion, with Bays. It's about 10 lines from the top. Well, Tanya, Tanya is not but we learned in the Brisa, but and we learned this in the Brisa. This Tanya is benichusa. It's not in a question form. Someone buys fruits from the marketplace to eat, and then he changes his mind that he's going to feed it to an animal. It's too late. You bought it for human consumption. You have to take meiser. Now you're not using it for human consumption. It's too late. That's where it was already chayiv in meisers. You have to take. Over here, it seems like we're not talking about meiser mamish. We're talking about the mai. Okay. Shema Rebbe. Rebbe hears that Reb Pinchas ben Yair is on his way, and he wants to see him. From this, it's pretty clear that Reb Pinchas ben Yair is the son-in-law of Reb Shimon bar Yochai, not the father-in-law of Reb Shimon bar Yochai. Unless he's mamish that old. Right? There's a machlekes, I think, the Zayar and the Gemara, if he's a son-in-law or a father-in-law. Because Rebbe is a chavrusa of Rebbe Elazar bar Shimon. Yeah, Reb Shimon bar Yochai's son. Yeah, no, because one time he complained to his father that he said, "What do you want? The Rebbe Elazar bar Shimon is the son of a lion." So remember that Gemara? It's in Bamletzi, I think. Anyway, so he learned, but so this must be a son-in-law. This must be anyway, I think.
Rav Shimon ben Menasseh?
No, someone else. That's earlier. I think.
Oh,
Same generation as Rabbi Akiva's student. Anyway, Nafak Lapei, Rabbi goes out to greet Reb Pinchas ben Yair. Amalei Ritzeincha, so that's like, would you like to come eat with him?
His Rav Meir.
Shimon ben Menasseh's Rav Meir student.
Both of them. Rav Shimon and
Rav Shimon ben Elazar is also right, but not that Rav Shimon bar Yochai is.
No,
we're talking about Rav Shimon bar Yochai and versus.
That's
and
Rabbi Akiva's.
Under Rav Shimon bar Yochai, does it have Rabbi Elazar?
Yes, Rabbi Elazar.
And what
Rav Shimon.
And does it have Reb Pinchas ben Yair near there?
Oh yeah, right.
Under it or above it?
The daughter of Reb Shimon ben Yochai is married to
Reb Pinchas ben Yair. Right. Okay, so good. It's his son-in-law. So Reb Pinchas ben Yair agrees to come eat by Rebbe's house. Tzavu panav shel Rebbe. Rebbe's all excited. Amar la kimedumata shemudar nami Yisrael ani. Amar la. So Reb Pinchas ben Yair says, "What are you so excited about? Do you think I don't eat by Jewish people? Yisrael kadosh mim. The Jewish people are holy. Yesh reitzer vein lai yesh vein reitzer. So I just have a problem of going to people's houses because sometimes they invite me, but I know they don't have enough food. They want me to come, but they don't have food, and so what I'm going to do is going to take their food that they don't have. Some people have a lot of food, but I know they don't want me to come. They just invite me to be polite, so I don't want to eat there either." He's going to tell him, "But you have everything. You have, and you want me to come." Ksiv al tilcham lechem ra ayin. Don't eat a meal. Tilcham means to eat a meal, like lechem. Don't break bread. Don't eat a meal with someone that's stingy. And don't desire his, probably means his tasty things. What does it mean, sar benafshe? How do they translate that?
Like one whose soul is embittered, so is he displeased by your.
So sar benafshe means embittered. Okay. Kainu, yes, kainu. Achal v'shaisi yarmalach. He tells you eat and drink, but his heart isn't really with you. So, yeah, someone told me that he was on the bus with this kid, and the kid says, "Do you believe this rabbi asked me if he could borrow my hat?" And I said, "Yeah," and he actually took it. I didn't want him to do it. I said, "Yeah," but I didn't want it. He says, then the boy turns to him. He says, "Anyway, would you like a cookie?" He says, no. I got your type. So so. However, you want me to come, and you also even have, you could afford it, and you have enough to feed me. However, I have to tell you, I don't have time now. Mr. Hivna b'milsa the mitzvah katzurich. Now I'm very in a rush because I'm running to do a mitzvah. Ki hadra asina aleina lagabach. When I return, I'll come to you. Yosef Rameh, when he comes, it happened that Alba who Pischi comes through a doorway that there were white mules. Amar Malach Mava Vesishal Zeh. This is like a German shepherd or some vicious dog or something. There's white mules. He says there's an angel of death in this house. And I'm going to eat by him. Shama Rebbe Nafak Lepe. Rebbe hears him. He runs out. Amalei Mizavninalahu. I'll sell them. Amalei Vlefniva Lesitim Michshel. Says, what are you going to do? Someone's going to buy them, and then you can't sell something that's dangerous to someone else. Okay, so I won't sell it to someone else. I'll just make it hefker. It says mafshis is eked. Then it's going to be even worse. No one's going to watch them. They're going to run wild. Akranalu. I'll cut their hoofs. They can't chase. Ikatzar balechaim. That's going to hurt. Katlinalu. It says I'll kill them. Apparently, killing them no problem. Tsar b'lechaim. It's only keeping them alive in a painful way would be tsar b'lechaim. Ikabal tashchus. You can't just kill them. It's bal tashchus. I don't know why it's bal tashchus if they're dangerous. No, that's a little surprise. Kamavatish beituvi. He's cajoling him to come. He's trying to convince him to come to eat in his house. Gavatura binayu. This mountain rises in between them, and they become separated. Bacha Rebbe cries. Bamar, and he says, Ma b'chayeyim kach. If this is how great they are while they're alive, I don't know why he has to mention the death. When they pass away, they're even greater. Rav Chama bar Chanina says, Gedolim tzadikim b'misasan, yesimi b'chayeyim. The tzadikim are greater in their death more than when they're alive. Yeah, we know this from Tanya, I think. Shenemar, Vayim kavrim yishvini roas agdud vayashlichos ish bekever Elisha vayelach vayigesh batzmeis Elisha vayechi vayakam al raglov. What happened was these people are burying a corpse, and they see the soldiers coming, so they just drop the corpse into a grave. There happened to be the grave of Elisha. And the bones hit Elisha's body, touches Elisha's body, and it comes back, it revives, it comes back to life. Now, when Elisha brought back the child to life, he had to go on top of it and blow into its mouth, and this and that. Here, after he passes away, it just jumps back into life just by touching him. So, maybe it's not really that tzaddikim are greater when they pass away. Maybe this is a special circumstance because Eliyahu promised him that he's going to have tiksiv ayina pishnayim beruchacha elai, that you're going to have a double portion of me. And since Eliyahu revived one person, so Elisha has to revive two people, and he only revived the Shunamis. So he needed to fulfill that. Amalei, Yehochi, the Tanya Amad al Raglov. Tanya al Raglov Amad al Abesilai Halach. Says no. It says if it's trying to fulfill the bracha of Eliyahu, then this person that came up from the dead didn't make it home. He just stood up on his
short term.
It was a very short-lived life. Short-lived. He just got up and then he went back down. Ella b'ma kayim. So then, how did he fulfill the blessing of the gift of Eliyahu, that he was going to have a double what he had? Rabbi Yochanan shripa tzeras Naaman shishukula kameis. He healed Naaman from tzeras, who was the general of Aram, and someone with tzeras is considered like dead. Al nati kameis. This Moshe Rabbeinu davens for Miriam. So she shouldn't be like dead, which means tzaras. Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Shua ben Levi says, "Lamina Krishman Ye." Well, it says over there that he davened 500 something times. The gematria of Eschana. That doesn't mean that it was the tefillah is very long. Okay. Maybe it is. Okay, so it says, why were these mules called yemim? The word ema is like yema. Ema means fear in Aramaic. So that's why these mules are called yemim, because they make everyone afraid. Damar Rabbi Chanina.
In Hebrew, ema v'pachad.
Yeah. It's you're right. It is Hebrew. It is Hebrew. In Aramaic, it's the chilo. You're right. It's not Aramaic. You're right. It's Hebrew. So.
I'm not right. I'm just listening.
And Rabbi Chanina says, "Miyamei leishalani adam." Rashi says Rabbi Chanina was a doctor. Leishalani adam al makas preda levana v'chaya. No one ever came to me with a bite or a being struck from a white mule and survived. Gemara says, "V'kazina dechaya." We see people surviving from kicks. It's kicks probably from a white mule. So he says, "Ema v'chayas," that the wound should heal. V'kazina the mitzvah, we see that the wound heals. The chivran reish karayu kamrina. We're talking about that the top of their legs are also white, right?
White tips. They have French manicures.
White tips on their toes.
French manicure.
Reish karayan means the tips of their toes or the tops of their legs? Of their hooves. Tips of the toes. Like the Stein is saying, it's called a French manicure. Okay. Einaid Malvada. It's nothing other than Hashem. Amar Reb Chanina. That sounds like the beginning of a mimer, right? Amar Reb Chanina. V'afilu kshafim. Even the magic has no power. There was this woman that wanted to take dirt under the bed of Rabbi Chanina. Kari means the bed or the foot? The feet of Rabbi Chanina. And she wants to be able to do magic on him, but she has to get that dirt, the dust from under his feet. Amalah, he tells her she's trying to do it in a way where he won't realize. You could take it. It doesn't matter. You don't have, whatever you do, it's worthless anyway. There's nothing other than Hashem. Rabbi Yochanan says, why are they called kshafim? Because they contradict. They go against the hosts of above, which means that they have some power. Rabbi Chanina had merits that those powers won't.
Do you remember the joke with cloning when it first came out, when they cloned the sheep? So they said these scientists came to heaven and they complained to Hashem when they wanted to go in. Hashem said, well, what can you do? He said, well, we can do anything you can do. And he goes, okay, make a man. So they said, yeah, well, they knew how to clone. So they bent down, they picked up the dirt. They said, okay, we can make a man. Hashem says, not so quickly. That's my thought. Hold Joe.
Ram Rab Chanina. Rab Chanina says, "Ein adam neikef etzboi mamata el kim nachrizin av mamayla." Person doesn't bang his finger below unless that was decided, decreed above. From Hashem, the steps of man are prepared. A person doesn't understand. What does he understand of his way? Amar Abelazar, Dam Nikov Meratze Kedam Oila. Blood flows from bang, so that's an atonement, as if it's he brought a carbon oila. Amar Rava, so Rava says about this, that's only begudal yamin benikov sheni. That's only if he bangs his right toe or thumb.
Big toe of the right
Big toe.
foot.
Big toe of the right foot, and it's the second time. Rudakasal dvar mitzvah. And that's if he was going for a mitzvah. And also it's the second time before the first one healed. I guess that's more painful when he bangs it again.
Same place, what do you call it, gout shows up. The first toe.
What is that? Yeah, but
Gout.
he's not talking about gout.
No, but I'm just saying, people who have gout, it's very painful. It's also in the first toe. Alex.
So, Amar Lava, Pinchas Ben Yair, Miyamav Lei Batzal, Prusa Shena Shalayim, Yem Shaman Al Daita Lei Nena Misudas Aviv. He never ate anything. He never said Amaitzi. Batzal Prusa Shena Shalayim. And if the bread wasn't his, I guess it means he never ate by anyone's house, even though before he said that he would. But it then turned out that he didn't even go to Rebbe's house. And as soon as he became mature, he never even had benefit from what his father gave him. He went to work. He went to, right? It's very interesting in those Zechronos of the Frierdiker Rebbe. See, the Alter Rebbe's father, everyone's trying to give him, come eat by us and this, and he never wants to eat by anyone. He never wants to get benefit from anyone else. Amar Reb Zera.
So it wasn't Mishum Kashrus?
No, he didn't want to take money. He wanted to. I guess based on this, that so the holy people.
Is it they don't want to be in a position like a judge to owe him a favor, so to say, hey, I fed you once, now I have a problem. I mean, people will do that.
Part of it, probably. But there's that pasuk also, Seine Matanas Yichya, the one that hates gifts, he lives longer. Reb Zera, Amar Shmuel, we go back to halacha now.
Okay, Rabbi, I wanted you to live a long time. I'm not kidding you.
Okay, thanks. Amar Reb Zera, Amar Shmuel. But in the Gemara, there were these two sages, I think Reb Zera and someone else, where they would eat at people's houses, and they said, "What about Seine Matanas Yichya? You live long if you don't." I said, "No, when I eat at their house, it's a gift for them." So anyway, I'm Reb Zera Mishmuel. Liben sakin v'shachat ba shchitase ksheira.
Will you explain, excuse me, Rabbi, to everyone why the reason you and I are talking so much is there's nobody else here? Come on, guys, come in person.
It's early in the morning. When we switch it to 7:30, then people
start. It's still 6 o'clock. It's not 5:30.
All right. Okay, don't be hard on people.
No, come. Make sure you're 9 o'clock at night. Don't give me an excuse. You got up early.
Liben sakin v'shachat ba. Let's say someone makes a knife very, very hot, and he does shchita with a hot knife. Now the shaila is, did he burn through the neck, or did he cut through the neck? What happens first? Is it the sharp blade? The problem is that the sharp blade, the tip of it, that's very sharp, that cools off very quickly. So it says, shchitase ksheira. We don't say that he burnt it, we say that he shechted. Chiduda koidem lelibuna. The sharpness comes before the heat. Vikatstadin. What about the sides? As it's going in, he's burning the sides because the sides of the knife are going to be sharp. It says Beishashchita mervach ravach. It says it splits open very quickly. Because it's under that pressure. The neck splits open. So because as it starts to cut, it opens wide, right? So.
What do you say?
No, when they do a surgery on someone, and they cut, does it right away open?
There's always the tension.
The tension pulls it to the side, so it opens up wide, so it's not going to burn even the sides. Let's say someone heats up a shpud, is a spit, what's it called when they use a rotisserie thing?
Yeah.
A spit. It's called a spit. So, and then he hits someone with it. Now, I'm going to say that this is going to be relevant for tzaras, because if he gets a bang with something hot, is that considered a burn or a bang? Mishum shchin, is it considered a boil nidan? And mishum michvah nidan, or is it considered a burn? What's the difference? Look at the Tanya. It's started in a brisa. Shchin and michvah mitam b'shvua echad. When it comes to tzaras, if they're not sure if he has tzaras, so you have to put it in quarantine for 1 week, and then they check it again. If nothing happens, they do it a second week. That's only by regular tzaras. But if it comes to a burn or to a shchin, a boil, that the tzaras is on that, it's called the nesek. So then that you only put him aside. They only put him in quarantine for 1 week, and after that they let him free. Another thing is that you need to have a white hair and pisayan. What was the pisayan? Was the spreading? The spreading. Why are they divided? If they have exactly the same halachas, shchin and michvah, which means that the size of tzaras has to be a gris, the size of a lentil, a type of half a bean. So if half a gris was shchin, half a gris was michvah, and there's tzaras on it, we don't say that they combine. We say that since they're in separate parshas, say that he doesn't have tzaras. V'tanya ezer shchin, ezer michvah, laka be'etz. If you get struck by a piece of wood, be'evan, or with a stone, be'gefes, that's yeah, it's the over here it's called pumice. Pumice, it's the pressed. It's the after they squish the olives, they have the peel. They have the peels and the all of that stuff that they would use for fuel. Actually, anyway, it could get hot. Like as it decomposes, it gets hot. Like compost can start to steam. It gets hot. So bechami Tveria, or in the hot waters of Tveria. So it's a type of burn, but it's not with a flame. Anything that would cause this type of burn, but not a flame. So lasuye aver miikare, lead. It's coming to include lead. That lead could also cause a burn. Zo shchin, that's considered shchin. Eza michva, so what's the burn? Nichva begachelas, that's if it's a coal, beremetz, or it's hot ash, besidrei teach, or hot limestone, gafsis teach, gypsum, boiling gypsum. B'chol davar haba machmasa, anything that's hot because of a fire, lasuye chamiyar, or if it's hot because he boiled it, zo michva, that's a burn. Britannia, we learned in the Brisa. Shchin michva, shchin kadam lemichva, batal michva, shchin michva kadam l'shchin, batal shchin michva. The way it works is that you always look at the second one. If a person gets a burn, and then a michva, I'm sorry, he gets a shchin, he gets a shchin, a boil, and then he gets a burn. So now, what do we consider it? A boil or a burn? We consider it a burn, because whatever comes second takes away the first one. If he gets a burn, and then he gets a bang on the burn, we consider it a bang, not
What's
a burn.
that?
Kimincha machvas.
Oh, mincha.
Hashemer Shabbos,
Sounded familiar.
You're thinking like someone's getting hit by a fry pan, because machvas is a fry pan. So it's kimincha mach. So, michva kedemes l'shchin, batal shchinas and michva. Whichever comes second nullifies the first one. V'hacha hechi dami. So now our question, we're going back to Reb Zera Mishmuel, or the Ibailu of the yeshiva. Our question was, originally there was half a gris of shchin, of a boil. And then he heats up a spit and he strikes him. Now he has another half a gris right next to it. Do we say that this is considered a shchin, and now he has a full gris of shchin, and tzaras on that would make him tamei? But do we say that because it was heated up, then now it's a burn, and it's not going to combine? Do we say that the bang came first, and the burn now comes and takes away the bang, now it's a shchin and a mikvah, so it's v'loy mitzdarfen, it's not going to combine. Maybe we say that the heat came first, and the bang, the bang takes away the heat, the burn. It's going to be considered having tzaras, tashma. So come and listen to this question. Yeah, the Amar Reb Zeira, Amar Shmuel. We go back to our original quote. Reb Zeira says, "Name of Shmuel, Liben sak and reshachet bashchitas kasher." Someone boils up a knife. He's not boils. He heats up a knife over a flame, and then he shechs with it. So we say it's kosher. The reason for that is chidu the kaidim lelivuna, because the sharpness comes before the heat. So alma chabata kadim. So that means that the chidu the sharpness comes before the heat, which means that the bang comes first.
No, the knife cut before it burned. So that's
No. No, we said over here that the knife. Oh, yeah. The knife cuts before the. Okay. Yeah, the knife cuts before the. Very good. The knife cuts before the burn, which means that when you bang, so the bang comes before the burn, which would mean back by us that when this person gets struck, you originally had a shchin, so the bang comes first, and then comes along the heat and turns it into a burn. So it's not going to combine. So he'll be tahar. The Gemara says that the comparison isn't perfect. Because chidud shiny. Over there it was sharp. So over there the bang comes before, because the bang comes the heat on the tip is not as strong because it's very thin. So that's why when it's that sharp, that the sharpness comes before the heat.
But also when they do the shchita, they shecht not with the tip initially, right? You don't jab it, they shecht and then they pull.
No, it's not talking about the tip, the heat of the tip. It's talking about the heat of the edge of the blade.
Oh,
that edge of the blade where they make it very thin. Yeah, the sharpness. So chidud shiny. It's going to be different when he bangs him with the thing. Maybe we'll say that the burn comes first, and then the bang. Maybe the heat is like emanating from it. Tashema. So come and listen. Libud shpud behika by nida misham makasesh. Michvasesh. If someone heats up a skewer, the spit, right, and he hits him, so it's considered a michvasesh. 1 second. It's considered a burn. That would mean that the chabata comes first. Alma chabata kadim. We see that the chabata comes first. Gemara says, "Asamnami the barze mivraz." Over there, he stabbed him. So over there, when he stabbed him, we're going to consider it a burn because the point that he stabbed him was not hot. Stabbed him with. We thought it was we said it's a shpud. There's 2 ways to use a shpud. Either you bang him with the shpud, or you stab him with it. If he stabs him, so then what stabs first? The point. The point was not as hot as the rest of it. So over there we say that the bang comes first, and afterwards it turns into a burn. Right? But by a regular stick, we would say maybe that the burn comes first and then the bang. We don't have a teretz for that. It says the Rashash takes out but whatever the case is, that that would mean that that's considered like the sharpness.
We're saying if the burn came first, it's not a valid shchita.
Right. However, by the tzaras, we say that if the burn comes first, then it turns into a shchin, because whichever second is a significant one. By tzaras, it's what second is the significant one. By shchita, it's the first one is the significant one.
No, I'm just thinking back a few days ago when we learned about the problem with a katan. That if he pushed down the blade, so pushing down the blade would not be a kosher shchita. So to me, it's sounding like, even though the blade ended up cutting, but it's similar to like the burn. What came first? Pushing down. That wasn't valid there for I'm trying to join the
No, because over there it's a puzzle shvita. If you any pressure, possible shvita.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make an analogy from that to the burn.
Okay.
And then when you say okay, that means long.
Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravua.
I know your answer.
Rav Nachman says in the name of his father-in-law, Rabba Baravua, he says like this. It says, let's see. Wait with this. Oops, lost it. 1 second. Okay. Sakin shall avodas kechavim, a knife of avodah zara, mutter l'shchitba. You're allowed to shecht with it. Really, this is a blade that was used for avodah zara, so it's really asur bana. You really shouldn't be using it for anything. It says you're allowed to shecht with it. But you can't use it to cut meat. So why are you allowed to shecht with it? So it says mutter l'shchitba mekalkala, because the regular shchita is mekalkal. The animal is worth much more before the shchita. When you're shechting it, it gets worth. The meat is not worth the amount of the animal while it's alive. They shecht it because they want to eat, but there's a loss there. So while it's alive, it's like an investment. You can use it to work. You can use it to mate it with other animals. Right? There's much more gain you can get from a live animal than from a dead animal. So shchita, which is mekalkel, so that you're allowed to do. But you can't cut meat because once you're cutting meat, cutting up the meat is improving the meat when it's sliced. Yeah, when the meat is sliced, it's improving it. Amar Rava says, sometimes shchita is taka aser. Why? Because it's improvement, the misukenes. If the animal was in danger, and they shechted it, so then since you weren't able to get hana, you weren't able to get benefit from it beforehand, now the only benefit that you can get from it is the meat. So now you improved it. Now you can eat it. Mechatech could be is going to be mutter, but cutting the meat could be mutter. Why? Ba'atmi the kaimin lekurbana, because this is a thigh that could have been given as a gift. When you slice up the meat thinner, then it's not as chashuv. A big roast is more chashuv than just slices of meat. So when you cut it up into slices, you're actually making it worth less when you slice it than if it would have been a big roast, because you can't give sliced meat as a gift. Okay. The Gemara asks a good question. What about if it's for avodah zara? Maybe there's nevela on it. Maybe there's grease on the knife. That's treif. We didn't even talk about the treif part. Maybe there's treif. There's bechadash. We're talking about that the knife was never used yet. It's chadasha. Now you're coming into another issue. Whether there's a machlekes Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva regarding this. Whatever the case is, everyone holds that if you didn't use it yet, it's not considered aser. And now you just told me that the knife was never used. I know you designated it for avodah zara, but it was never used. You say no, it actually was used. You cut a branch for avodah zara, but it's not treif. We're talking about that it was used already, but you kashered it. You kashered the knife, but that doesn't mean that you're supposed to be using it to have enough from it. Itmar, we have a statement. Someone shechs with the knife of avodah zara. Rav Amar Kailef. Rav says that you have to cut off. You have to do klipa. You have to cut off an area by the base of shchita, by the neck that you used this treifa knife. So you have to take off a very thin layer, kedei klipa. The amount kedei klipa is the amount that you can in one slice you can pull it away in one slice. Like watermelon, you can cut it very thin. If you cut it too thin, then you can't take it away. It crumbles. You have to cut it thick enough so that you can move it away with one. You not take the pieces away. One, it can hold itself together. So, one opinion says over here, Rav says kailef, and Rabbi Bar Bachana Mediach. Rabbi Bar Bachana says you only have to rinse it. We can explain the machlaikas. If you use a treifa knife to do shchita, the milchik tamihak, right? So we can explain this that the following, with the machlaikas. What do you consider the neck of the animal? Do you consider it cold or hot? If you consider it hot, then we'll say that it absorbs a little bit, and it absorbs a little bit of the knife. So you have to do klipa. If you consider it cold, then you just have to rinse it. Yeah, you rinse it with a little soap and water or something. Light. Everyone holds that the neck of the animal is considered hot. One that says that you have to peel it away, you have to do klipa because you used the treifa knife. It's understood because it's hot. One that says you have to rinse it. Since there's so much going on when you're doing the shechita, the blood is spurting out. So at that moment, the blood is spurting out, even though it's hot, but it's not going to absorb from the knife. Yeah, there's too much pressure going against the knife the other direction.
Can you review that picturally, like this klipa concept?
Yeah. Shechting and with the treifa knife.
Right.
So one opinion says, use the treifa knife on the shechita. If you're going to eat the head or the neck of the animal, you have to remove one thin layer, a klipa, off the neck on this side and off the neck on that side, because the knife that sliced through, you have to clean that off, and you have to clean that off, the two sides. The other opinion says, no, you just have to rinse it. So we said, what's the pshat? Why one say you have
Rinse
to
what?
rinse that area?
Oh, rinse the area.
Rinse the area. So what's the two opinions here? Two opinions are, one says that the Beis HaShchita is hot. Therefore, when you did the shechita, it absorbed. So you have to cut a layer that got absorbed from the treifa knife. The other opinion says that it's cold, and so therefore you only have to rinse it. What happens if something treifa touches something kosher and it's cold? So you rinse it.
So this is similar to like someone has a power of cake, and someone went and cut a piece with a milchik knife. Now you come along, you flesh it, so you kind of par off a little bit, and then you go and cut your
right. Now, there were two pshatim in Rashi. Two pshatim in Rashi. If we're dealing with the shamnunas on the knife, or what's the Rashi duchka de sakina? We're going to come to it. Two pshatim in Rashi. What's the issue with knives? Knives have a more stringency than other things. People don't clean knives the way they clean other things. You know that? Yeah,
They just with the fingers.
They don't clean it the same way. With the knife, they believe the knife. It's dirty, not perfectly clean. Unless they use like steel wool.
Is this a knife with a handle?
Yeah.
Oh, because there's always that.
There's a little part on the button that's in the corner that doesn't get cleaned.
That's why you can't touch it.
But people think that the blade. I mean, the Gemara thinks that the blade doesn't get cleaned either properly. People naturally don't clean it. So a typical knife, they think is probably dirty. Anyway, the Gemara says now that really everyone holds that the Beis HaShchita is reiteach. The Beis HaShchita is hot. Really, it should have absorbed. So why does one opinion say that you just have to rinse it? That's because they hold, since there's so much blood spurting out, it doesn't absorb from the knife. Ikadamri, some say exactly the opposite. The Koli Alma Beis HaShchita Tzainen. Everyone holds the Beis HaShchita is cold. Mandam Remidiach, the one that says you have to rinse the shaper, says it's cold. So what do you do with something cold? You just rinse it. Mandam Rekoilef, the one that says that you have to peel off a layer, Agav Duchka de Sakina Bala, because of the Duchka de Sakina. Duchka de Sakina means because you're putting pressure when you're cutting, you're pushing the residue that's on the knife into even though it's cold, but it's different when you're cutting. So here we say, Rashi says now, duchka de sakina, you're rubbing it against the meat, it's going to absorb. Since the halacha wasn't paskind, so in the end it's Issa deraisa, so we should be machmer, kamla b'shal tera halacha machmer. The deraisa you should be machmer. Now, someone told me that Rashi is a Gilgal of Rav. The Rambam is a Gilgal of Shmuel. So the only time that you find Rashi paskening is in Chulin and in Shabbos, because Rav the Hilchas Karav beIsuri when it comes to ritual law, like Kashas Shabbos, it's ritual law, and the Rambam is the whole Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat is basically the language of the Rambam, which the halach is like Shmuel b'Isuri, b'Dini. The halach is like Shmuel b'Dini when it comes to monetary law. So that's why what comes out is that Rashi ends up paskening in Isuri, and the Rambam ends up paskening. Anyway, okay.
How much for the world?
Yeah. Okay. Now the Gemara says.
What's the name of the sefer again? Sefer Gilgulim.
Right. Sakin treifa. If there was a knife that you used to cut to shecht an animal, but you found out that the animal was a treifa after you checked the lungs, it turned out to be a treifa. This could be very common. So pligi bar Rav Acha Ravina. There's now a machlekes. What do you have to do with this knife? So chad amar bechamin. One says that you have to do hagala. You have to kasha the knife because it absorbed from the shchita of the treifa animal. Not talking about a non-kosher animal, talking about a kosher animal. But you found out that it wasn't. The lungs weren't good. Chadam, another one says you just have to rinse it.
How come nobody says stick it in the ground?
Sticking it in the ground is when you used it for cold, I think. Here, you're using it for shchita, which is possibly hot. Depends if the base of shchita is. So anyway, what it says over here, there is a Gemara about sticking it in the ground. If I'm not mistaken. Maybe like the last.
I don't see anyone do that anymore, but I remember growing up and seeing knives in the backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's and there's almost somebody that told me passion.
There's a where it was, but there's going to be a discussion about this, sticking it in the ground.
What if they stuck it in the ground and it got shivers in the air?
It's funny. So you shechted is sheifa. So it's machlekes Rav Acha and Ravina. One says you have to do agala, one says you can rinse it. Bilchasa afilu b'tzayin. The halacha is that you could rinse it. B'yika b'leisa the parsa l'michbrei bleit tzarich. What does that mean? That you can just rub it?
Yeah. Steel wool.
Yeah. L'manda amar bechamin, the one that says you have to boil it up. My timer, mishum the kabbalah isura, because it absorbed yisur. The Gemara says why? What do you mean yisur? Yisur because you shechted an animal that was treif, and so therefore it absorbed. The Gemara says if that's the case, the teiranami balever menachai. Whenever you shecht a live animal, as you're shechting it, before it dies, it's considered Aver Menachai. And Aver Menachai is not allowed. You're not allowed to eat a limb of a living animal. Here you have the absorption of a living animal, where it says, Eimaspala. When does it absorb? L'chichaima, when it gets hot. When does it get hot? At the end of the shchita. That point, it's already heter. Remember someone asking, it's sort of like a trick question. How are you allowed to drink tea if the hot tea goes against your lips and you're not allowed to eat human flesh? And so the absorption of the flesh goes into the hot tea, and then you end up eating like the flavor of the. What do you say? The starke kasha. The answer must be that it doesn't give off an absorption while you're alive. If you don't hold it that, otherwise, I mean, like what's going on over here? You're never allowed to eat hot food, anything. Yeah.
What about when you burn your tongue in the pizza?
You have to spit it out because it absorbed from the.
I don't know. And you then eat fleishik an hour later. Oh.
Okay. Let's go a little further. Amar Rav Yudah Rav. Yudah says in the name of Rav, a tabach tzarich shlish sakinim. A butcher needs 3 knives. Achas shechit, one that is going to use for shchita. Achas shemachatach babasa, one that is going to use for cutting meat. V'achad shemachatach b'chalav, and one that he's going to use to cut the fats. The problem is the fats are treif, so you can't use that for the meat. Let him just have 1 knife. You should use it to cut the meat. And then he'll use it for the fats. Just always cut the meat first, the fats after. So we have a gezerah that if you have 1 knife, you're going to do it in the wrong order.
Wait, but that's still 2 knives.
We didn't mention the shchita knife yet. Okay. So, hashta nami mechlaflei, but now we might mix up the knives. It says, kivan atzuchu trei islay akera. So since he has 2, so he's going to make sure, he's going to recognize that he uses this for this and that for that. The butcher needs 2 vessels of water. One is he uses to wash the meat, and one he uses to wash the fat. Let him have 1. He'll wash the meat first, and then after the meat, he can put the fats in. Maybe we'll do it out of water. Maybe with the two buckets, maybe he'll also do it out of water. It says same answer. Because he has 2, he's going to remember not to put the meat in the fat bucket.
What does this mean, washing the meat? This is just to get the initial blood off. It has nothing to do with washing and salt.
I'm not sure if it means if it's the washing for the salting. It probably is the washing for the salting.
Well, then he's got to do that 3 times. So how could he do it?
After he's finished with this, I'll do those. 45 minutes.
Just watched.
Do you remember your mother?
I watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember.
Person shouldn't place kafli as the flanks, the part of the meat, on top of the meat. The doiv tarba balabisra, because the fat is going to ooze out. The problem is when the flanks, you have the chalev of the kidneys are there. If you put them on top of the meat, then if it gets warmed, the fat is going to ooze into the meat, and it's going to make it treif. Bala bisra, the meat will absorb it. Yahachi, that's the case. Itritzinami dov taba bala bisra. Even if it's on a board, the chalev could drip off, and it could drip onto the meat. Umar says no, because over there, karma mafsik mitatoi. There's a membrane that holds the fat in. Yachi, that's the case. See, the question over here was that if I put the flank on top of another slice of meat, then the bottom meat is going to absorb from the fat. So the Gemara says, so I can't put the flank even on this side because there's going to be the fat on top, right? It's going to drip down into the meat that's below it. So it says, no, there's a membrane in between the fat and the flank, right? That stops it. It's only when you turn it over that there's no membrane there. But 1 second, there's also a membrane on the other side. It says, because the hand of the butcher was handling it, so the membrane disintegrates, and then the fat could absorb into the meat that's under it. Okay, let's leave it right here around the test on the top. We're up to Amar Yud Amarav. Okay, have a good week, everyone. Let's see, what do we have here?
This is 9B?
9